We're back at you with gloves off, and today we're going to talk to a icon in Savate, a great friend of mine. His name is Professor Andre Germe, better known in the Savate circles as Big Blue. Good morning, Big Blue. How we doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. And you?
Doing good, doing good. How's everything with you?
Everything okay, yeah. You want to talk about Savate?
Yeah, let's talk about Savate. Let's talk about when you entered Savate, because you came from the line. Let's talk a little bit that a lot of people do not know that Savate and Boxe Française were totally two different federations, two different arts of pugilism. You came in through Boxe Française, right?
Yeah. I started Boxe Française in 1976.
Okay.
Or 77, or something like that.
And who was your professor?
It was one year before the reunification of the two federations.
Okay.
Before there is two federations, one Savate, Fédération of Savate, and Fédération of Boxe Française.
Yeah. And in
1978, they
unified
together.
Yeah, which they created the French Federation of Boxe Française, Savate.
That's right.
Yes, and
that's right.
Many do not know that Savate and Boxe Française were different arts. Literally, they had different kicks, they had different movements, even though they were both from France. What do you remember the differences?
Oh, you was about some technique, you know. In Savate, I think they can do frontal and kick with tibia. I think, but there's very few different, you know.
Yeah, but there were when they came in, there was a lot of differences in, say, people. There was a rivalry, right, for many clubs that came from Boxe Française and Savate. There was a lot of fighting between them. You know, some of the great fights were Dominic Daclouis and Panza.
It was only, I think it was politics. That's all.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm the best. I'm the best. You know.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Because for a long time there was that taboo. You know, you came from a school of Boxe Française, you cannot go to the school of Savate, and vice versa. And And when I was there, you saw that a little bit, but it kind of was blending away. You know, it was kind of more acceptance of if you became a silver glove, everybody accepted you. Before that, you were kind of looked down at. You know, tell me.
That's right.
Who were the professors, the old professors, and the new professors that made a big impression on you?
For me, there is Bob Alix was one of a good technical director.
Yes.
Bob Alix. He's still one of the gold glove.
Yes.
Alive, still alive.
Let's talk about that, because a lot of people do not know the ranking of Savate. The ranking of Savate, it's blue, green, red, like black belt in karate, white, yellow, silver, and then there's two separations. There's silver technical, which has 3 degrees, and silver competitive, which has 5 degrees. Competitive, the fighting silver glove is the number of fights that you were in. That's when they will give it to you. At one time, you got a bronze glove, and you got a bronze glove when you won the majority of your first 10 fights.
Yes.
And yes, I got one. And then you had the other ones. Then you had silver 1, 2, 3, which is very few, which we'll talk. But there's honorific gloves, vermil.
Yeah, honorific glove is a gold glove.
Gold and vermilion.
Yeah.
Vermilion is like a red color, and then of course your gold glove. And gold gloves, there's very few. I know Sila is one. I know Paturel.
Paturel, Bob Alex,
Bob Alex,
Mark Kinsley,
Mark Kunsley,
and Bernard Plazet.
and Bernard Plazet. Those are
Yeah.
the ones that stand out. That are, I don't know if there's any others now, but I think those are the only 5 of the Gold Gloves. Now, competition Silver Glove 5 level, you have again Richard Silla, Paturel,
Yeah,
Postal,
yeah,
Suarez, Penacchio, those Farina, those were the Silver 5.
Farina, yeah.
Yeah, I think even I'm not too sure if Lancen and Gogne and those guys ended up getting Silver 5, but I'm pretty sure that they're up there. They're up there in numbers. Mazui,
Mazoué, ouais.
Mazui,
Maybe Abella, Mercadier also.
Abela, Mercadier. Those guys were the ones that got the Silver 5s.
Yeah,
Now, Silver 3s, they're very few. You know some of them. Mazdua,
yeah.
Poivre,
Jean-Marie Poivre,
Jean-Marie
yeah.
Poivre,
Jean-Claude Basset.
Basset, Penacchio received. Penacchio and Farina received it the year before I received it. But there's not that many. We're like 7, 10, 12. There's not that many of us. Mazdua was one that I remember very much for. You know, I remember testing before Mazdua and Michel Gilbert, Professor Gilbert, you know, who taught me a lot.
Yeah, Michel Gilbert, yeah.
Who passed away, no, two years ago.
Oh, 2 or 3 years ago, I think.
Let's talk about those. What professor for you impressed you the most? Bob Alex. Why Bob Alex?
Bob Alex, he was a technical, national technical. Jean-Paul Vigiani.
Jean-Paul Vianney, my professor. With.
Yeah, he know a lot about the whole technical of Savat.
He taught us Lutte Parisienne. He taught us Can,
that's
Baton,
right.
and he taught us the war fork. He taught us a lot of things that no longer taught. And it is sad because
Another one also, Jean-Pierre Tourtet.
Yeah, Jean-Pierre Tourtet. Why Jean-Pierre Tourtet?
Jean-Pierre Tourtet was a whole sport teacher, and he know like Jean-Paul Vigiani, all technical also. He do baton, can, and Jean-Pierre Leblanc was also one of
the old teachers,
old professor
who taught Can. And the last time we were there, he showed Can. He showed everything. It was interesting to see. To me, professors that impressed me the most in their coaching abilities, I would say Sot Massage.
Yes, it was.
To me, I think
make a lot of champions.
Yeah, he made so many champions. I think he had the ring savvy of a coach of a professor that was in the ring, and he would develop somebody to become a fighter, and would take them to levels that person could not amaze to himself. You know.
Yeah.
And
he has two sons also.
Yeah,
became champion.
Two world champions as his son. And his school, the last time we were there, his school was the school of boxe française, pure boxe française.
Yeah.
Was
the best club for competition.
For competition was Clichy, Club Clichy.
Yeah.
Another professor that impressed me with his teaching ability within having fighters and technicians and everything was Jesus, ¿cómo se appelle?
Well,
du Bobigny.
Bobigny.
Yes. His nickname was Jesus. ¿Cómo se appelle?
Yeah.
Le Prévost.
Le Prévost. Bernard Le
Prévost. And his calmness, the way he used to carry himself.
Bernard Le Prévost was coming from Savat.
From Savat. and right now, he is the only professor in the Federation that comes from Savat. All the other professors of Savat have quit the Federation.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one. He's the only one to the day. And he was a student of Christian Guillaume.
Yeah, and Christian Guillaume is one of the guys who more impressed me. He was my first teacher in Paris when I started BF in 1980 in Paris. My teacher was Christian Guillaume.
What impressed you from Christian Guillaume? And I'll tell you my story.
Because these guys he make a world tour,
right?
And make contests with everybody, and he win everywhere.
Yeah, that is true. A lot of people do not know Christian Guillaume knocked out the Japanese kickboxers. He knocked out the Thai kickboxers, the guys in Burma. He was a tough man.
This guy was a legend.
And what impressed me of Christian Guillaume was he was humble. He was so humble that it was so impressive, you know. And to me, Christian Guillaume, when I met him at a competition, you know, and it was at Coubertin. It was a Paris International, and I was helping officiate alongside with Michel Gilbert. And Christian Guillaume did not have a ticket to get inside, you know.
Yeah.
And I let him in, and I remember several people from the federation said, "Oh, he has to pay this and this," and I said, "Wait a minute, he is a legend. He needs to be invited in here," you know.
It was same thing for Roger Lafont.
Yeah, Roger Lafont.
Roger Lafont also was a legend of
Savate,
boxe française.
Of Savate. Yeah.
Old man, very good. Live for
Savate. He was our teacher, both of us. We became professors under Lafont of Panache.
That's right. He teach for the series, TV series.
Yes.
Chapeau melon et bottes de cuir, you know?
Yeah, yes. And he had old techniques. I mean, he came from a lineage. His grandfather learned from Michel Cassou, the first professor of Savate. He was he was a very, very knowledgeable professor.
He came in Laredo.
Yeah, he was here in Laredo. Remember when we did the fights? Yeah. Tell people about the fights, because you used to come here, and people don't know. At one time, USA Savate was growing so much in popularity here, and especially a lot of people do not know that Texas is the only state right now that accepts Savate boxe française as a combative sport. It's underneath the Department of Licensing and Regulations, and no other state can show Savate. If they do, it's done behind closed doors, right? Because no boxing commission has accepted it. Roger Lafont came in at the age at that time. He was 91. No, he was old.
Yeah, he was. 81, something.
No, because he died at 99, no? Yeah,
he died,
86. You might be right. You might be correct. He might have been 88, 89 when he came down. Because 10 years later is when he passed away. So yeah,
I don't remember, but he was already old.
And he could still move, huh? I remember the demonstrations you all did.
Yeah. We make a demonstration together. Yeah, who else?
1998, that's when we had it.
Maybe.
Yeah, 1998. Explain, a lot of folks do not know that when Savate, the first school of Savate, was Michel Cassou. It started 1803, and it went onward, and then it got divided into boxe française, and there was a lot of.
And after come Charlemont.
Charlemont came in Leclerc, which were the actual heirs of boxe française. Not really Charlemont, was actually Leclerc. Julien Leclerc was the heir of Charlemont, and there was a lot of infighting amongst different people, you know, I'm the better one. And people now see UFC and MMA fights Well, that occurred in France in the 1880s and 1890s and 1910. You had fights between boxe française against savate. You had boxe française against boxing. You had boxe française against wrestling. You had boxe française against jiu-jitsu. You had a lot of those fights back then, you know, and people do not know that. The people do not know that.
And Charlemont fight against Driscoll,
which was a champion
of boxing.
Yeah,
and he win. With a fouette plexus.
Yeah, he gave a fouette to the stomach. Fouette is a type of kick. He gave him to the supraplexus and went down. And then it came back again. They said boxing, you know, that was fixed and this and that. It was not really a challenge.
Yeah.
And then in 1907, you had Chabrier, who fought another world champion of boxing, whose name was Winston. Mm-hmm. And he gave him a chassé to the leg, and as he came down, he kicked him in the face. I have the picture somewhere that was given to me.
There is also Professor Caron.
Yeah, Caron.
Caron beat great champion of karate, Mosuzuki.
You're right.
Father Mosuzuki in 1960, 61, something like that.
Yeah, and Caron was the one. He was a student of Count Barussi, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And there's a film somewhere that I've seen of Caron with Count Barussi, and Count Barussi showing him how to defend yourself with a suitcase, a briefcase, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a film, and how you stop it with a briefcase, how you would kick the person behind the briefcase. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me, what have you seen change from the 1990s to the present of Savate in the last 20 years? What has changed? Because we both lived it. Because that's how long I know you. I know you for 20 years. So.
The problem I think the fighter, they lose technique.
Okay.
They use less technique now than before. Before, when the guy fighting, they use more technique, different technique. Now it's fouette, some chassé, and jab. So, I think the boxe française was more rich before.
Yeah, me too. I think there was a lot more style between the professor. Well, you know, they removed the professor from its power of what the professor was back then. You know, a professor could give a silver glove, can graduate a student,
now,
can form it. Now it's not. Go ahead.
The fighters, they don't take risk to make a good technique or down-through technique, you know?
Right.
It's too bad because when you're a good technician, you can pass in fight, you know?
Right. You're correct. You're correct because Savate has changed dramatically. Savate has changed. I think it has lessened the technique, as you say. People no longer know the difference between a chassé frontal and a chassé or lateral, or, you know, we implemented a chassé italien. You remember that in 1994 we brought in chassé italien from
using revers.
Yeah.
Revers figure, tout ça.
It's no longer.
We don't see that now.
You don't, and so that's not being passed on. It's now 1, 2, 3, fouette, jab cross to the face, fouette to the leg, jab cross to the face, fouette to the leg.
Yeah, that's right.
And or every so often you see some kind of chassé going forward. Why? Because they've lost the apprenticeship, I believe, of forming a coach into a professor.
Yeah.
And now anybody can take a test to become an instructor, and it's written. So somebody that has 6 months to a year is not a professor of Savate. You know, and well, unfortunately, the sport has kept on, but I think the technique has brought down. we were there all together when we reformatted the International Guild of Danseru Savat. Explain to you what you saw and why it was beneficial.
Yeah. About Danseru, I saw you keep so many whole technique. That's good, and you have a how can I say that? All the techniques are very open, very different, and and also you take all the technique about baton, razor, knife, fouet, and that's good because he was at the beginning he was like that.
Right. And many do not know that Savat was separated. Savat has both appendage disciplines and concurrent disciplines, and they were all separated at one particular time. The grappling is known as lutte parisienne. Was taken completely away in 65 when they finished the World Savat Judo Federation. In 65, they said lutte parisienne is only for silver gloves. So when you started learning lutte parisienne when you were 6 years into Savat.
Yeah.
Then at that time you learned kan and baton together with the kicking and punching. And then they separate. In 84, 85, they separate kan and baton from boxe française Savat. They made two different sports,
That's right.
So you stopped, the professors stopped, were told you can teach kan, but you cannot teach it at the same time of at the same time, So,
When I start, I learned the both.
Yeah.
When I start boxe française Savat, I learned can and baton also.
Yes, you learned it at that time. And when I
long time ago, you can
learn together. Together. And I learned can apart from Savat, but it was Jean-Paul Viviani that kept it together,
Yeah.
And then when we became a professor, we all went to go train with lutte parisienne. Remember, we're bringing back lutte parisienne in the open with Pierre Shine, Lulu Mercadier, Laurent Mercadier, Professor Mercadier was there, Jean-Paul Viviani was there, Pierre Shine, Claude Valier was there, and we were under the direction of Professor, which was another great professor, Sylvain Salvani. You remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was what lutte parisienne was, the 32 techniques of the Parisian grappling that we were putting together as one. It was interesting, because everything was separated, and in Danseru Savat, everything is together within the pedagogy of the system.
That's a good thing of Danseru Savat, because you keep all the technique together.
It's not separate. If people want to compete, they compete in boxe française. If they want to compete in kan, they compete in kan. It's the way it should be, or I guess the way we all thought it was supposed to be. And that's a different vision. Let's plan something for you to come to Texas. We have to get you to Texas.
Okay.
And we have to put something here for you to come down, and let's teach more baton and kan and get people to understand that exists also. Okay?
Okay. We try to do that.
And we'll get together. Anything you want to tell the people out there about Savat? How about this? What was the best fight that you saw for you? Explain it.
One of the best fight for me is Zankifo was one of the best fighter for me.
Sure.
Daglaoui, Dominique Daglaoui.
Very proper in his boxing.
The fight against Panza, Andre Panza.
And if people can want to look up that fight, it's in YouTube. It's Dominique Daglaoui versus Andre Panza. Dominique Daglaoui from Savat and Andre Panza from Boxe Française. You see the distinct styles there, different.
Yeah.
And Daglaoui win. And Panza's a great friend and a great champion too, you know. Andre Panza.
Yeah, sure.
You know, he was phenomenal. To me,
also another one was very good. He was Bruno Godefroy.
Yeah, Bruno Godefroy.
This guy impressed me. Was really efficacious.
Yes. To me,
and
to me, the best one was in my time frame was Francois Penacchio.
Yeah. Francois Penacchio was a good one. He was really the device of Savat.
Yes.
Of Fredmantic. Touch and don't beat.
Yes. To me, Francois Penacchio was the best at the time. You had Farina, which was very powerful, very, very ferocious. And the other...
Hello?
We're here.
Hello?
We're here. We're connected. And the other one that was very good was Schwaref in the 90s, Richard Thomas.
Yeah, Schwaref.
Sylvain Postal in the 80s. Of course, Richard Silla.
Yeah.
Paturel.
Mm-hmm. Sébastien Farina also. Farina.
Yeah. Now the modern fighters, I guess the better one was, to me, was Anthony Massage. Anthony Massage for me was the better of the fighters of the 2000. You know.
Now there is a good one that they tell me about is Colin.
Well, I haven't seen him. I've heard people talking about him, and in the women, to me, the best one was Nancy Joseph.
Yeah, sure. Nancy Joseph and Florence Suire.
Yeah, Florence Suire.
Yeah.
Yeah, Florence Suire. Also, Denny Roca.
Yeah,
Denny Roca.
Also, yeah.
Denny Roca was also a tremendous woman competitor. Anna Specklin was more of a technician.
Yeah, sorry.
All righty, my friend. Anything else you want to say for those saboteurs out there? A word from your Professor Andre.
Just hope dancer will go up because we need it.
Yeah, we do. And we need to keep Savat alive because I see Savat going down because of MMA. And hopefully, I've traveled the world in the four corners and I've seen good intentions from people, but they're teaching from assumptions, you know? And we need to get more technique, I think. Come down back to the basics. Come down and teach the basics. And we think we can do good.
Exactly.
All right. But okay, Big Blue, you have one.
Okay,
you're my brother.
Thanks.
We love you, man. And until next time, we'll see you
You
here
too,
in Gloves
take care.
Off. And you guys
Thanks.
out. Thank you. Until next time, we'll see you here in Gloves Off.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.